Welcome to Meadowbrook Homestead. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about doing for yourselves what you usually require from others. In other words, I want to address some of the key and critical infrastructures dealing with manufacturing and also with commercial facilities. Because we depend upon those types of things so much. When they disappear or you don't have access to them, you're going to have to find a way to do for yourself. So what does that mean? A lot of times that means that we have to repurpose things that we have or build things from scratch to fulfill the needs that present themselves. So today I want to kind of go over some of the tools that I use out in my garage for building things, for creating or fixing things that may go awry. I want everyone to understand that I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I do like to try to do things for myself when it's possible. You know, a lot of times I'll think about the time I tried to cut my own hair. That didn't turn out too well. So with that in mind, some of the things that I do know how to do, I try to steer myself towards those types of things. And the things that I really don't know what I'm doing, I kind of shy away from them, even though in the midst of certain requirements, you have to do what you got to do. So with that said, I want to go and show some of the tools that I use out there, my workbench area, the garage, and also talk a little bit more about how to create or manufacture based on necessity. When I grew up as a kid in Hawaii, my dad was a construction laborer. He actually had a small company where we did contract work. He was a contractor that could do basically anything from plumbing to building structures. Anyway, so I learned how to use power tools from the time that I was just a young kid. I kind of stuck to it. I like building things out of wood. And over the course of the last couple of years, that's kind of gotten a little bit less and less as the prices of wood have gone sky high. It's been less of, I guess, a preponderance of my builds around the property. I know that it probably won't go back down, but I'm hoping for, in the future, the wood prices to come down a little bit so that I can get back to building. As you can see here, there are a lot of Ryobi battery-operated power tools. I absolutely love the Ryobi products, and there's a couple of reasons why. Because they're inexpensive, first and foremost, and they're durable. I have dropped these things off of the roof and used them out in the rain and dropped them in the mud, and they just keep on working. And if they do, I've only had maybe 2 of them break over the course of the last decade that needed a replacement. Other than that, for the price, you can't beat them. And so I like these Ryobi power tools. There's a couple of different types. There's the 18 volt, which are the majority of the tools that you'll see out here. And I also have 40 volt tools that I use out in the yard. Basically a chainsaw, limb cutter, and some other tools that require more of the 40 volts power. I also have a 40 volt lawnmower that Ryobi makes. So I absolutely love the Ryobi power tools. So I set this area up basically to help me to keep things in order, because as I go throughout the day, a lot of times I'll leave things all over the place, and coming back here to the bench, I can see what's there, what's not there, and then try to remember where I left the thing that's not there so I can put it back there. Anyway. If you can see, there's all different types of tools, but the majority is for woodworking, and that's what I primarily like to do. All right, so once again, inexpensive, durable, capable, and for the most part, the batteries are all interchangeable, so having these, just getting more and more Ryobi tools actually benefits me. At least that's how I like to pitch it to Donna when I go to Home Depot to pick up more tools. When you talk about manufacturing or the need for commercial facilities, a lot of times the way that we can get away from requiring something from a store or from a provider is to repurpose, reuse what you have. Now, if you look at my workbench, it is atypical, and I understand it. All you purists out there who have the understanding that a workbench is supposed to be a certain type of material, bear with me. These granite countertops were left in my house. We had no use for them, and when I asked my children if they wanted to have these types of granite countertops put into the areas that we'll eventually build for them, everyone said no. So, in lieu of just leaving them where they were in the house, sitting on their beds, I decided to make these my workbench countertops. The wood here, obviously, was just wood that was left after a project that I had outdoors. So to build this was basically a big zero on the cost scale. But it provides me a couple of work areas where I can do things that require a workbench. Yes, I'm not going to bang a hammer on it. I understand that. I'm not going to throw paint on it. It does look nice, but for the purposes of putting things down, then picking things up, this suits the purpose exceedingly well. So on this workbench, two different levels. Of course, as I'm getting older, it's easier for me to sit down than to stand. So sometimes just might have to sit. All right. As we progress through the discussion of this place, I wanted to have all my tools hung up, so recognition is very simple. A lot of these tools look the same. They're all green. And as you get older and vision starts to wane a little bit, having a better way to view things makes sense. So everything's up on the wall where I can see it. And another thing that I was notoriously famous for was getting lots of one item. I have a total of 6 tape measures, 2 of which I don't know where they are. But when I find them, I'll put them back up there. There's a ton of batteries, so I know exactly where the batteries are. And there's a couple of multi-port battery chargers, and I have tons of backup battery chargers in the event I inadvertently misplace one of them or more. I do have lots of hammers. And the reason why I have lots of hammers is because I'll leave them someplace and then end up getting another hammer. Well, anyway, having them all in one place makes sense. And I know that I'm not missing any hammers right now because they're all in the hammer slot. All right. So, power tools. Once again, the majority of these are for woodworking. And I want to talk about a couple of them that have proven to be very indispensable for me, just because they're so easy to just grab and go. First and foremost, skill saw. I used to be tied to the cords, used to have cords running all over the place, and in places that were away from power, run a generator. Yep. Now I just grab a 18-volt battery, grab my skill saw, and go out there and do whatever I need to do in the location that I want to do it. So that skill saw is one of my indispensable items. Now, if I'm fastening something up on a roof or far away from a power source, I'll take this nail gun with me. Once again, 18 volts, works perfectly. Back in the day, I would have a compressor, I'd have an air hose, I'd have a generator, or a long enough cord where I could stretch it out to the work site, and have all of these individual nail guns brad nailers, deep shank nail guns, so that I could use a pneumatic nailer. Not anymore. Grab this, fill up my handy dandy pouch, which I know where they're at, with nails, and then go to town. Perfect. The other one that is indispensable for me is my impact driver. Impact driver looks like this. 18 volt, once again. I can put all the drivers for the screws in here, clip it onto my belt, and climb up and do what I needed to do with that particular tool. Those are pretty much the ones that I'll use almost every go. Some of the other ones, of course, is Sawzall with a nice big blade, which I have all my blades back here. I usually have one sitting out here, but I guess I put it back. Anyway, Sawzall, 18 volts again. It's a reciprocating saw with a long enough blade that you can switch out from metal to wood and chop anything from a tree limb to a bolt if need be. Love these things. Another one that I really enjoy, the jigsaw for precision cuts, rounded corners, those types of things. 18 volt once again. Now getting into some of the ones that I don't really use on a recurring basis, or on a, let's just say a lot. This is an impact wrench. This is it's a 1/2-inch drive. I use this when I'm doing automotive work. Once again, 18 volts, works perfectly. And then, of course, if I ever needed to grind something down to nothing, this is the tool of choice. Orbital grinder. And this is a precision cutting tool, which I have blades for metal, for wood. Comes in handy. And there's a couple of them that I have yet to use because I just bought them. And this is an offset wrench. Here's a rotary cutting tool. Have yet to use, just got it. And then I just got this caulking gun, and I haven't used it yet. So these three are going to be put to the test very soon when the weather gets better, and hopefully I can return to doing a lot of my construction type work outdoors. So every battery is not created equal. Some of the older batteries that I have are probably 1 amp hour batteries, and I only have one of these left. It's still good, so I'm still using it for the time being. But for the most part, in regards to the two different types of batteries, voltage-wise, the 40 volt and the 18 volt, there are multiple types of batteries within those two categories. And it all depends on amp hours, which will give you usability of the battery and for duration and for basically for power. So of the 18 volt variety, the two that I primarily use are the 3 amp hour and the 4 amp hour. And obviously the 4 is better than the 3, so it'll give me a little bit more time on the clock when I'm using a particular battery. By the way, the batteries, the Ryobi batteries, we're going to put a link to this in the video itself, at the bottom of the video, so you can go take a look at these. They're actually very inexpensive as batteries go, and I've had some of these up on the shelf. I've had them for years, and they're still very viable batteries, and they still provide enough for me to do lots of work on a single battery. As we talk about the 40 volt, I've got basically the 4 amp hour and the 6 amp hour. You can tell the difference in the two. The weight is an issue. So if I'm doing some work, say with my pole saw, cutting limbs off of a tree, I'll probably opt for the 4 amp hour battery just because it's a little bit lighter and the overhead work tends to wear you out, whereas one of these 6 amp hour batteries, I'll put on my chainsaw, because a lot of the work is going to be at waist level below, or not very much overhead work. I choose the battery for what configuration I'm going to be in. The lighter batteries overhead, the bigger batteries closer to the ground. Of course, I like putting the big batteries in the lawnmower when I'm using it, because then it'll just last much longer and I won't have to swap them out. For battery charging, I like the opportunity to throw all of my batteries onto the charger and just forget about them until the next day, and then come and get them when I'm ready to do more work. So I do have multiple port battery chargers, and those are located behind me. All of these, there's links to them. If you don't have one, these are great investments, because it'll save you time, and then it'll provide you enough capability for battery backups in one place. So anyway, 18-volt charger is a 6-port. So at the end of the day, I'll probably go through 6 batteries. So I'll throw it on the multi-port and just leave it overnight. Next day I come out, they're ready to roll. As the 40-volt goes, this is it's a 3-port charger. So sometimes I'll have to come back in the middle of the night and pull 1 or 2 of them off and replace them. Because when I like to do my outdoor yard work with the 40-volt tools, I'll usually gauge my day on the availability of batteries. When I run out of battery, that means I can knock off for the day. So I usually go through all of the 40-volt batteries that I have. If you can see up here, I've got 5 of them. So most of the time, I'll run through all 5 of them, then call it quits for the day. And that's after a lot of chopping and a lot of, sawing and whatnot. So multiple port chargers, they work well. Check out the link. Definitely worth the investment for those charging capabilities. One of the things I probably will be bumping up over the course of the next few months will be my lighting capability. I do have a couple of lights here that are both 18-volt. One of them is a work light that I use when I'm underneath a vehicle and I need to be able to see what I'm doing. It has multiple settings for brightness, and they last a good amount of time when I am needing light. Of course, in the handheld light that comes with a lot of the multi-tool kits, and it's just a handheld flashlight. Usually keep one of these in the house as well, so having multiple lights is always a good thing for working in the dark. As the eyesight starts going, it becomes more of a need for lighting solutions. Now, some of the other ones that I was looking at are stand lights, which are going to be more beneficial for doing large-scale jobs in darkened conditions, either outdoors or indoors. Once again, these things, they work great outdoors in the weather. They work wonderfully. So I'll probably pick up some other type of lighting solutions this year, because there is a need for them. So without drill bits or driver bits, a lot of the tools become unusable. So I have a bunch of these. It seems like I'm always picking one up just so that I have extras on the shelves or in the different vehicles that I use out on the property. So these kits have multiple bits, multiple drivers in them for use with the various power tools. As you can tell, I have quite a few, and the reason why is because you go through these. It's one of those things that are throwaway items. After you've used a Torx driver for a good amount of time, it becomes unusable. The ends wear down. You just toss them and you go through them. So in a kit like this, you'd have multiple drill bits, and then you'd have the different drivers and then nut drivers as well. The things that are missing for a reason. I go through them and I throw them away. And then eventually I'll pick up another kit. So I also have some kits that have hole saws in them, with the drill bit that goes in the middle to center your hole cuts. I have hole saw kits that I use when I'm out and about. So multiple drill driver bit kits, and I like to think you can never have too many of them because you're going to go through them. Everything wears down the more you use it. So these are them. So we're talking about outdoor work, basically gardening, pruning, limbing trees. I've really come to like this 40-volt brushless cutter trimmer with all the different attachments. So there's multiple heads that you can use on this, and I'll run through them. Right? First, the tree limb cutter for a pole saw, which actually there's another attachment, so I can get this 10 feet up in the air to cut the limbs of trees. I have a metal bladed rotary cutter for chopping down stubborn brush. I have a standard run-of-the-mill string trimmer for grass and kind of light work with brush. And then also, finally, this is another rotary cutter that has the swivel head on it. And this is the carbon fiber. It's carbon fiber shaft. It's very durable, absolutely great at cutting down thick brush. Lots of acreage cut with these particular pieces of equipment. Once again, I said that there is an attachment that goes on here. Here it is. So this is the extension. Everything just snaps right into place with a click, and you tighten it down. These things work awesome. I love it. 40 volts. They do last for a while when you're out there working, and no noise like you're used to with a gas-powered trimmer. So a lot of positive benefits, and with the prices of fuel being the way that they are, whatever you can save in regards to using renewable sources makes a lot of sense. So this is a 40-volt brushless chainsaw. This is pretty much the only chainsaw I use these days. I used to have Stihl chainsaws that were gas-powered that I'd use out on the property. I have it over there. It's sitting on the side. And I will opt for these every single time now these days. So very capable. What I like about it is it's lightweight, low noise. I mean, I don't need to wear earmuffs and like I used to. And once again, they're very durable. I've dropped this off of a tree. I seem to drop a lot of things these days. They just bounce right back and keep on cutting. So, one of the things that I've discovered that I really love in regards to chainsaws and chains and bars is this Oregon Power Sharp system. This thing is awesome. Before, sharpening your chainsaw blades took a lot of time. This has a system where you basically snap this Power Sharp sharpener onto the end of the saw blade. You get the blade moving. You push this sharpener down into the ground, and it sharpens the blade in a matter of seconds. So I have a bunch of these. I love going through them. When they're sharp, they just cut through the tree limbs like butter, and then sharpening them is a breeze. So this system on this chainsaw, I love it. I have probably about 4 or 5 chainsaw blades on backup. There's a couple of them I'll use. The older ones I'll use for cutting near the dirt, because if it hits the dirt, I don't care about dulling the blade. The ones that I want to use above the waist or above the shin are going to be the newer blades that are sharp. As I transition them through them, the other ones are going to sit on the side, and I'll use them for cutting out tree stumps closer to the ground, because I kind of used them up and I don't care about beating them all to death. So when working outdoors, especially with power tools that spin and throw pieces of wood at you, it makes sense to have good PPE, personal protective equipment. I like these. I got them off of Amazon, link in the description. They are a one-stop shop. I got earmuffs on the top if I need them. I've got one configured with a clear face shield and one with a mesh, and it all depends on how I'm feeling that day. If it is a cold, wintry day and I'm outside, I'm going to wear this one. Kind of keeps the heat in, and I don't care if it fogs up a little bit. In a summer day, it's going to be this one, because it'll help the wind circulate around my face, keep me from sweating too terribly much. Anyway, provides all the things that you would want out of PPE, something to protect your melon and your eyes and your ears. So, does the whole thing. And who doesn't want music on the work site? Now, there's sometimes I'm out there, I'm just working out, say I'm on the tractor, I'm under the tractor, I'm draining oil, or I'm doing something that doesn't have a lot of ambient noise. I'll take a battery, 18-volt battery, pop it into here, tune in a local radio station, and listen to the music or the news out there. Thing works great. Yes, I've dropped this too, so it's very durable as well, which seems to be a recurring theme, dropping things. Yeah, so it's been tested, field tested by yours truly, and they work really well. I'm not going to drop it now, but you understand where I'm going. One of my favorite opportunities to cut the cord came by way of this chop saw, this miter saw. I've been using a corded version for about a decade. Finally cut the cord, got this Ryobi 18-volt compound miter saw, sliding miter saw, and so glad I did, because it gives me more capability for taking a function of miter cuts out to the job site without need for generator or extension cords, those types of things. So this has been a great addition to the battery-powered Powertool lineup. So I have this mounted on a rigid folding stand. It's a transportable stand that once I fold it up and lock it all into place, I can wheel it around easily. It's like pushing a hand cart. So that aids in transportation and also in regards to storage as well. So this rack is a dual purpose acquisition. Yeah, I guess it stands to reason that I'm pretty much sold out on Ryobi power tools, especially these cordless 18-volt versions. I know that they'll serve me for years to come. They have already served me for quite a few years, and I hope that they could do the same for others. If you have any questions in regards to any of these, just drop me a question in the comments, and I'll get back to you, let you know what I think, how they work for me, and if they'll work for you as well. So for most of the things that we covered here today that I showed you, there's going to be a link in the description. And hopefully they'll serve you like they served me. I've gone through years of trial and error, seeing what I did like, what I didn't like. These are all things that I like. I'll continue to buy them. I'll continue to use them. And I really, really like them. I love them. So I hope they work for you as well. Well, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel using the subscribe button and click on the bell for notification. When we have new video content out there, you'll be notified on what's going on out here at Meadowbrook. Once again, thanks for viewing. Catch you in the next video.